Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar with Masterspec. Hope you all had a good weekend. Hope you are all safe in your bubble, and hope you're looking forward to a new week of working from home. So with that, I will kick off today's webinar. Today, as usual, I am joined by my colleague and our business development manager, Jeremy Gestro. Jeremy is going to be with me on this webinar as a co-host, and he will help me out as required. So we kick off today's webinar with Office Masters. So Office Masters are basically templates, master templates that you can create at an organizational level to pre-format your project, and you can preload work sections into them, and you can also preload information. And it's a great way to start a project from a template format, where work sections are preloaded, bit of information is also there, and then that saves you a lot of time when you're starting a new specification. Office Masters, we believe, are good for all size teams, big and small. It is great for team leaders to set up project formats as they would like their teams to write. It is great to make sure that for projects, all information has been included. There is no limit on how many Office Masters you can have within your organization. So you can have different kind of Office Masters. It could be based on the type of project that you do. It could be based for a client. If you're writing a lot of projects for a single client, if it could be based on the system, that if you're writing project for, say, for example, for a structural specification or cladding or interior, anything like that, you can have an Office Masters, and it can be used across the organization. So today what we will do is we will show you an example. We will demonstrate how Office Master can be created, what are the different ways, and how it could be managed. The third aspect of an Office Master is how it can be updated. This we will be covering in our next webinar, which is in 2 days' time, which is called Update Manager, where we will not only cover in how to update your specifications, but how to update your Office Masters as well. So in today's webinar, we'll be covering how to create Office Masters and how to manage Office Masters. So one thing before I start is important thing to understand is to create and manage Office Masters, you need to provide proper privilege within your organization to certain staff. So unless you have provided permission and privilege to a particular staff member to create and manage Office Masters, they cannot do so. So make sure that you have assigned proper privileges within your organization to the staff members whom you want to create or whom you want to manage and create Office Masters. So Office Masters, as usual, would live under projects. So when I go under projects, there is a separate section for Office Masters. So when I click on Office Masters, now it will bring you to a list. So this will show the list of all the Office Masters that you have currently created. As you can see here, we have a number of Office Masters that are created for different types. So we've got one for landscape for public areas, a residential, a structural low-rise, building services, so on and so forth. So like I said, you could create as many Office Masters as you like. Now, to create an Office Master, it is just click here on a new Office Master. And then we provide a title. So I'm just going to give. And then you could put in here a description. And then intended usage. Now, you see two options here. You can start from a blank, or you can clone an existing specification. So start from a blank works pretty much as you would start a blank project. which means there would be no work sections preloaded into your Office Master, and you would need to load work sections. So I'll show you both very quickly. So if I start blank, it will go and it has basically put the Office Master here. And then I can go under show detail, and you can again change setup, which means you can change the name, the description, intended use, or you can go in and edit content. So when I go under edit content, you can see here on the left-hand side that there are no work sections at the moment. And it works pretty much the same way as you would add work sections into a specification, which means by going into your Masterspec library, you can click on a particular work section, and it gives you the same option. You can either run a Q&A and download the section by using the Q&A, or you can do a full section download without running the Q&A. So another way to import a work section into your new Office Master is from an existing Office Masters. So to do that, click on the Office Master tab here on the right. And when you do that, you will see that it will bring up a list of all the existing Office Masters. Now you can click on the Office Master from where you want to import a work section. And then you click on the work section which you want to import into a new Office Master. Do note that here it will only allow you to do a full section download. It will not allow you to do a Q&A. Also do note that when I click here, it will take all the changes that were made to this work section and it will import those changes, which means any changes that you made to the original copy in the original Office Master from where you're importing will be carried over and copied over to your new Office Master as well. There is one more way that you can import work sections, and that is from existing project. So to do that, as we did it with Office Masters, simply click on the tab that says Office Projects, and this shows all your current project specifications, and you can click on any of them and you can copy the work section from an existing project. You can, as we have seen in our previous webinar, you can search for project by word, or you can do a word search by the name of the project or by a term which is in the name of the project. So if I do structural, for example, it will bring up all the projects which is structural or part of structural in it. And then when I click on the specification, it will show the all the different work sections that are here, and then it is the same sequence. So if I click on a section, it will take the entire section and it will copy into the new Office Masters. Same thing again. So if you have if you have made any changes to your work section in your original project, all those changes will get imported to your Office Master work section as well.
While we're going through this process, just to recap a couple of things. A Office Master essentially is a template. It can have one section in it or multiple sections. You can have one Office Master or multiple Office Masters. And as Yash said at the beginning, anything that's got commonality in your work, so it might be a client, it might be a scope of work, it might be your general sections. Now, this is absolutely perfect to set up your general sections, because your general sections are 90% made up of your practice IP. So they absolutely lend themselves to being in a Office Master or a template. And what that essentially does is it gives you a quick start. Now, the bulk of the general sections aren't dramatically filled with references to codes and standards, and only get reviewed on a less frequent basis than a product-based thing because it's not affected by the codes and standards. So what that means is you set up an Office Master around your general sections, and it's unlikely to get affected by change on a regular basis. And also because it's your practice IP, you're going to have it 80 or 90%, each section 80 or 90% edited. So there's not going to be a lot of work to do it, and you'll be able to use it project after project. and it gives you that quick start. So instead of starting a specification from scratch, you would start a specification from your template, in particular for your general sections, and then you just make some fine-tuning to those sections to reflect the project, and then just start adding product-based work sections. So the other thing that I'll just quickly say before Yash carries on is you talked about cloning from one Office Master to another. I'd be just a little careful about having one work section, especially a product-based one, across multiple templates, because what that means is if that becomes affected by change, you then have to update every instance of that work section within your suite of Office Masters or templates. So you're better off having a section, a product-based work section in just once, or maybe twice at a push. And then you're not going to have to do too much maintenance work if that is affected by a change to a code or a standard. Back to you, Yash.
Yeah, thanks, Jeremy. Thanks for that. Look, I've managed to import a project into an Office Master. So this is, again, the same one that I wanted to show. It's the one that I've been using for demonstration for all our webinar purposes. What I wanted to show here is that when you're setting up an Office Master, just like any project, you can fill in. So in the original project, I had filled in the information here, and that information is now copied here. And going forward, any project that is created from an Office Master will carry this information. So which means things like document control, information on project. So these are general work sections, but even system-based and product work sections can also be curated or modified to make sure that information which is vital and which needs to be carried over to every project is copied every time. The other thing is that when an administrator or when the champion of Office Master, as we call it, the person who has taken responsibility for the Office Master, they can also leave notes for their team members, for their colleagues. So for example, here, as I have shown you, you can put in notes here with instructions or with guidance as to how information needs to be put in. And again, just like the information that is within the specification document, these notes would also carry over. And that means every time you are starting a new project, all this information is already pre-filled, it's already there, and you're saving again a lot of time, you're maintaining consistency with your specification document. Now, in terms of if you want to see how to create a spec from an Office Master, it is simple as creating a spec. So if I want to quickly show you, just click on here, and I'm going to pick an existing project under which I am going to create an Office Master. So I'm going to go down to Masterspec webinar. So I'm going to be using, again, the same project that we've been using. Spec name is going to be Office Masters Demo Spec. And then just simply click on Clone an Office Master. So when you do that, you can either search by an Office Master name. So this is same as cloning from an existing specification document. Nothing changes, just you are picking from a different source. So either you can go and look from your drop-down menu, or you can search for it. Again, the same procedure. So I'll just pick this, and then I will click Add. And this is how you create a specification from an Office Master. So as you can see, if I click on document control, it has carried over all the information. It has brought all the notes with it. And then you can continue to work on your specification. So that concludes the content side of it, guys. So tomorrow, like I said, in 2 days' time, so that is on 16th of April, we are going to be covering the update manager side of things. So we are going to cover information on how you can update, keep your specifications up to date, how you can keep your Office Masters up to date as well. And we will talk about why is it important and how does it help to make sure that your specifications are relevant and current. We are
Yes,
happy
can I
to.
jump in?
Sorry, yeah, go for it, mate.
Sorry, just a couple of key points with Office Masters. Firstly, don't over edit them. So in other words, have them so that they are usable ongoing. So if you try and put too much content in, then you've got to reverse engineer it when you use that template. Better to have a little bit too little information than too much information, because it'll still give you a time benefit without compromising that by having to reverse engineer. The second thing is, and here's probably one of the key things, people often ask me, when's the best time or the best method of creating a Office Master? If time is kind to you, then the best way to do it is when you're about to embark on a new project specification. So what you can do is you can edit up a work section to a point where it's usable as a template or Office Master, then push that across into your Office Master, then carry on developing that section for the project and work your way through so that you build up a range of work sections in that Office Master, but with the thought pattern of creating a project rather than sitting there thinking what's good for a template and how much is too much and not enough. The other thing I want to mention is that treat a Office Master or template as a living thing. So don't just think I'll create a template and I'll use it forevermore. Create it as something that you work on, and if you've got a big team, then have a protocol whereby you get feedback on the use of that template. I'm always taking this out, or I'm always adding that in. If that's the case, amend your template so that it's out or it's in as required. So build it up right and develop it over time as your practice changes, as your client base changes, as your scope of work changes. And so that they're ready to be used, and as I said, potentially give you that quick start when you start a new project. Thanks, Yash. I see we've got a couple of chats come in.
Yeah, so one of the questions that did come in was, and I think we have covered it, but Jeremy, I'll let you take this one again, which would be that, sorry, I'm just going to read that. So can you create a master from an existing project that I already have in NextGen 2?
The answer to that is yes, but it's a bit of take with caution, because if you clone an existing project, particularly if you've edited it to 100% for that project, then potentially to make it usable ongoing as a template, you're going to have to reverse engineer it. And one of the things about reverse engineering it is that you may have deleted some stuff out of there. You may have put some custom clauses in there that may actually be required in the template, even though it wasn't required for that project that you were doing it. And so you very much need to take care with that. I think you're almost better off building from scratch and doing it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right, Jeremy. Both Jeremy and I and our team at Masterspec, we always work with practices to help them create Office Masters and provide guidance and what's the best way to do it. And we always recommend that you build an Office Masters from scratch. This is because it will give you a perspective on how you want to build a template, which allows you to see a bigger picture on the different projects that you're doing. Like I said, you can break them up as well. So it's not necessary to have just a single template and have all the information in it. You can have multiple templates and you can curate it. Mainly what you're trying to do is bring efficiency within the team and consistency within the team. You're saving time for your team, and you're making sure that you're covering all the bases when it comes to starting a specification. So do get in touch with us if you need any help on how to build an Office Master. Sorry, Jeremy, I thought you had something else to add in there.
Just one thing. As Yash said earlier on, you can put the comments all across your template, which is a good thing to do. So it can be reminders to the team as they're using that template that they need to do this, that, or the other. The other thing is that if you put in custom clauses, don't forget to put a tilde in if you require that field to be filled in when it's used later on as a template. So because we still want the tilde to activate the reminder when they complete that work section. So if you create a custom clause, put in tildes where if you don't put information in, but you want them to put information in, put a tilde in. Thanks,
Yeah.
Yash.
Absolutely. Cool. Thanks for that, Jeremy. Guys, that covers that topic. Are there any more questions before we sign off for today? Looks like there are no questions coming in for today, Jeremy. You can always send us your questions at gen@masterspec.co.nz. That is gen@masterspec.co.nz. This webinar will also be available for later viewing. So you can either view it from our YouTube channel, which is a great channel to subscribe to. Because there are tons of videos there, a lot of information to look into. You could also follow us on LinkedIn and Instagram as well to look at what's coming up next from Masterspec and to look at what webinars are coming through in future and what's been already covered. You can go to masterspec.co.nz, go to training, and then under webinar, you will see the schedule for upcoming webinars, as well as you can replay the previous webinars from here. Guys, take care, be safe, and we will soon see you for our next webinar. Thank you and goodbye.